giving a lecture somewhere else today, and so Uncle Phil's family thought it was only appropriate that I say a few words, but actually they had nothing to do with it. About 3 weeks ago, with my last phone conversation with my uncle, he said, "Michael, would you speak at my funeral?" I said, "Well, I'm taking, my calendar in 2021 is open." And he said, "That's not going to happen, Mike." I said, "Well, please, let's hold off until summer 2020 so you can see my son, Jacob Philip's first child." So that's not going to happen, Mike. And we knew. We knew it was time, and we also knew that that was our last phone conversation. And as you think about him and you hear the stories, there is something that's beyond amazing about my uncle. I believe, and as a pediatrician, that every child needs a powerful man in their life. And those of you, for most of us, if that powerful man is your daddy, that's awesome. And for those of us who are dads, that's our dream, that maybe we would be that for our children. But for me, it was my uncle. And my mom, his sister, in fact, once said, "Michael, you worship the ground he walks on." And I do. And I did. And because for me, he was my savior. He was the one who rescued our family. And, you know, as a child, and we have children here who happen to be his grandchildren, and you're at young ages and you sort of form in your mind, what is God like? What must God be like? And I had the image. It was my uncle. Because he was powerful. He was omnipotent. Just ask Mark and me when we were insulating the funeral home and I was asked to find the screwdriver. I discovered I better find that quick, and I wasn't finding it. Well, as a kid, that was one sort of power that you envision. He was omniscient. As an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old. I knew that because rounding the corner of the funeral home with my Yamaha and sliding it under the truck and pulling it out and looking back at the funeral home to make sure that Uncle Phil didn't see that. Relieved that he didn't, only to get home to have the phone ring saying, "Mike, how you doing?" Like, how did he know that? He's omniscient. And he's omnipresent. Mark and I know that. Trying to hit an 8-iron on the 8th hole, where somehow, I still don't know exactly how my 8-iron went further than the ball did. To only get into the clubhouse to realize he wasn't here when Mark and I started the round. How did he see that? He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. So I grew up with that mindset of an incredible, powerful, godlike man. He was my hero. My son, Jacob Philip, is named after my hero. He was always there for me. And then in the end, he also was a warrior. I saw it in college. One of the youngest bone marrow, one of the earliest bone marrow transplant recipients in the history of Mayo Clinic. Battled like a warrior. When you did a bone marrow transplant 30 years ago, that's not like what we do today. Back then, that's called prehistoric, and back then that was barbaric, how it went and how we did it. And he survived, and he battled, and he battled. And see, that's how you do life. You battle. But then you also see all of him, and some of you also see all of him, and I did in his 70s when I met him in the hospital as an empty man, completely depleted, powerless. I walked home and I went to my wife and said, "I hardly recognize my uncle. He's gone. He's empty. Empty. Done." then discovered that out of that emptiness, when the all-powerful one, who I thought was more powerful than any man in the world, who had nothing in him, his tank was empty. It was then, and it was there, that he became a new man. A new man, where there was finally room in him to be filled by the omniscient one, by the omnipresent one, by the omnipotent one. And Jesus Christ came into his life. It's called born again. And he was born again. And it was a new day, a glorious day. He didn't transform immediately. He's still Uncle Phil. But he's redeemed. Life eternal set in motion that day. And slowly and surely, life breathed into him as his body decayed and decayed and decayed. And so I saw all of what it means to be a real man. Yeah, one, have confidence in your own self, but then what it means when you realize that we have nothing without him. So I leave with you what I left with my uncle as my final words to him when he said, Mike, will you pray with me? And driving down I-90 heading to the lake, I prayed a psalm blessing over him. You probably know it. And we said together, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfies thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. I said, Uncle Phil, those are really great promises, 5 of them. And as Uncle Phil would say, and many of you could say it, and you probably know what he said, you got that right, Mike. You got that right. He's forgiven. He is completely healed. He's been redeemed. He's wearing that crown, and his life has been renewed. Youth has been restored for eternity. Can't wait to see you. I hope it's a little while. Love you, Uncle Phil.